All right, welcome back to another game of Crits and Grits Dragon Calamity Special. It's a fun game, and the first one that we are recording in the new year. So happy New Year, everyone! Woo! As usual, we have our fantastic players. I'm just gonna go across the Discord. Ian, how are you? Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. I'm good. Thank you for asking. I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing good. I didn't know if you wanted to announce any life stuff, but
Yeah, I mean, I did. There were some big changes in my life. Right before Christmas, we were in Disney World, and I asked my girlfriend to marry me, and she said yes. So that's fun. That's kind of exciting.
congrats. I was excited about it. That's why I said something.
Thank you.
All right. Kyo, Happy New
I,
Year.
di-
How are you?
I didn't do it. Happy New Year. I am here. I'm doing good.
Good.
Gearing up for the con season already.
Don't bring that up. I'm not ready. I am not ready. Not at all. I need a break. I'm gonna take a break from you. Go to Sandy. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm doing good.
Good. Do anything fun?
Yeah, I'm in New York for the holidays. I'm still here, so still here with family and friends, and I'll be back in Georgia in about 2 weeks. So yeah.
Nice. I didn't know you were in New York. Cool. Got players from
Don't freeze.
all over right now. Yeah, don't freeze. And last but not least, Soul, how's it going? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm doing good. Just chilling and ready to play some D&D.
Sweet. And with that, we will go ahead and jump into our recap. That's right. Your turn to talk. I need a little bit of recap for everyone. Earn some of that DM inspiration. What happened? What happened?
Caelyn had her dignity infringed upon because Zeroka had to carry her. It was great. She was very offended about it because we found us some Dargans.
To recap, Miz met somebody he did not want to meet in this particular situation. Someone who he knows well and is hoping that this person has answers for him about particular things. But other than that, it was just Miz basically looking back and seeing everybody get vine trapped. Everybody was caught in vines for some reason. So Miz just stayed in the back with arrows. And that's about it on his part.
All right, I'll go next. So we stumbled on. We found some dragons, and Zeroka tried to give them some food, and they really wouldn't come out. So he had to be humiliated and carry Caelyn, which he did not really want to do, to talk to them. And he did so. And after they conversed with a little bit with the dragons, they informed the following higher guild member of the situation. And she came and apparently she didn't like the two people, Miz and Caelyn, who she saw, but nonetheless, she still told us to keep quiet about the dragon, which we will do. And we are getting ready to head back, but I believe our good man Xander has some questions for her as well before we head out.
Absolutely. And since Ian's power was out last time, I'm going to do his recap and still give him some DM inspiration, just to be fair. You did find 2 dragons while Xander stayed and kept watch at the entrance of the cave until this new guild member, or not new guild member, new to you guild member, Jess, showed up and was led to where the dragons are. You did not see them, but the others have seen them, and you also know that the dragons are not in great health. That is something to note. So, with that being said, everyone take your DM inspiration. Jess has just tried to shoo you away, if I recall correctly. A little briskly, actually. What's everyone doing?
Caelyn just gives Miz a glance, rolls her eyes, and just kind of shrugs. It's like,
Miz does the same exact thing. He's just kind of heading towards the exit of the cave. He just sits around and waits for Xander to answer his questions, since it seems like he might have something to say to our guild woman.
So the first thing I really want to do is I kind of want to do I want to do like an insight check based on what we've already talked to her about that I wasn't here for. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep, absolutely. Give me an insight check.
first roll of the game. Let's go.
All right, set us up. First roll of the new year of the game, 13.
yeah.
I mean, she seems pretty straightforward with you. She kind of thought you were joking at first. Thought this was all some kind of prank. She was teleported directly, so someone in the guild powerful enough to use the teleport spell, which is a 7th level spell, did directly teleport her to the entrance of the cave. Which suggests that she is, important enough, and this matter is important enough that was necessary. There's no way to prove a lot of what she is saying, but it sounds pretty plausible.
All right. I've actually got a quick question for you, like out of character, like kind of like, but like I probably need to just like send it to you if that's okay.
Yeah, probably go ahead and message that to me.
All right.
Because
But we can continue on for just a second while I do this.
Yeah. So everyone is, except Xander, I guess, is actually just gonna go ahead and walk away.
Well, Caelyn's bold, but she's not dumb enough to like pick a fight with somebody who's that unafraid of being a badass. It's like, no, there's a difference between I'm Billy Badass, meh, and no, I'll stab you and I'll kill you and no one will know about it.
Yeah, I mean, you did just see her walk up to a situation where there were an unknown number of dragons and no weapons were drawn.
She's just like, I'm not silly enough to involve myself with this one. Absolutely not.
Yeah, Zeroka's going to take his leave as well. He's not going to sit around. The mission is done.
Okay. Xander, I answered your question, so
yeah.
What's Xander doing? You're the only one that has not seen the dragons.
Xander's gonna want to at least see them and see kind of like what shape they're in, and he said he's heard that they're not doing well. He would like to just try and like see if there's anything he can do. He was obviously the most excited upon leaving about possibly seeing dragons, so he would like to do so.
Okay. All right. So Xander is staying and everyone else is retreating.
Well, Caelyn's gonna basically just like stand at the entrance,
leaving.
so like she can see them, but is like it's more of a just sitting waiting for the last party member to join them before they all just vacate and take the long way back.
Okay. Jess looks a little irritated, and glances at you all and says, "Are you going to spectate or something? Your mission here is done. I'm not an entertainer."
I apologize, Jess, but I'm the only one upon the group who actually unfortunately didn't get to see them, and part of me would really very much like to at least see the dragons before we leave. I was very excited about the prospect of possibly doing so.
Fine, but if they attack and you get hurt, that's not my problem. And she goes ahead and unclips her swords from her belt, and shoves them into her bag of holding, along with a handful of daggers that you didn't really see where they were to start with. They just suddenly seemed like they appeared. But she pretty much disarms herself. And then she pulls out a small pouch from the bag of holding and tosses something from it. And you see what looks like a pearl kind of half bounce and then start rolling towards the water with a slight slope of the cavern before it gets stuck on a small rock. And just like you wanted to see, Xander, both little dragon heads poke out to see what made this noise, and they look absolutely fixated, especially as Jess tosses a very shiny silver piece so it lands pretty close to the pearl. She says, "Oh my, would you look at that? I seem to have a surplus of wealth. Sure would be nice if I could donate it somewhere." And you can see both little dragons' heads are poking out over this little ledge up there at this point, and you can see the girl a little bit better. You can see that both the dragons are kind of scuffed up. They have some wounds that are kind of fresh and some that are pretty old and healed up. But the right wing on the little girl one appears to be broken and is just kind of being dragged along the cave floor with her.
Xander, as soon as they like poke their heads out to like even see what the sound was and everything, Xander like immediately like stops paying any attention to Jess. Like the whole money thing just goes one ear out the other, and he's just fixated on these dragons. And he'll kind of step a little bit closer as they come out, and will speak in Draconic to them. Does everybody in the party know Draconic? Does anybody not know Draconic? Like,
Yeah, pretty much everyone speaks Draconic.
okay, well he'll just be like, hello, my friends. Sorry that you seem to be dealing with quite a lot of pain there. Is there anything we can do to help?
They turn and kind of look at Xander. Their eyes narrow a little bit, and they both are just the boy says, "What's the catch?"
No catch. Just want to be of help. And Xander will like. He will not be exhibiting any like fear or anything as he's talking to them. It is more of a like genuine concern. As he's still kind of slowly getting closer, but like not in an aggressive way or in a like scared way. He's more concerned for them than he is his own like personal well-being at the moment.
Jess is just watching him. You should be able to move your token. If everyone can kind of place their tokens where you think you would be at this point, just so I can get a visual on this a little bit better.
I'm out. Zeroka's gone.
You can probably hear everything echoing through the cavern,
Yeah,
though.
I'll just to see, but yeah, Zeroka's completely gone.
I'm not entirely sure where the dragons and stuff are on this map.
They are kind of up and to the right. Yeah, those are the little dragons. So there is they're kind of ledges that are almost 3 tiers, and the top is maybe 20-ish feet up. It's a high ceiling in this little portion of the cave. But there's ledges that are about 10 feet for the first one, another 5 feet for the second one, and the third.
I got you. Well, Xander would probably be. He probably would have gone slightly past Jess at this point, so he'll probably be about here, kind of just slowly talking to him and getting slightly closer. Again, not in like a concern for his own health or anything like that. Just mostly concerned for them and not wanting to spook them or anything like that.
They're both watching you, but the little girl is also kind of glancing at the shinies that are on the ground about there, not too far from the water, but close enough that she's worried that they're in danger of falling into the water. And the boy says, "The last time someone like you came in here, he attacked us. Why are you any different?
Without even saying anything, Xander literally just unbuckles his belt and lets it fall with his rapier attached to it to the ground, and he's like, I mean no harm. It's more of just pure curiosity at this point. I find y'all so majestic, and he seems to be kind of struggling with his words, almost struggling with what to say to these guys. He's just fascinated, to be honest.
Jess kind of cuts in at this point and says, you know this isn't some kind of petting zoo, right? They could actually kill you.
He still isn't concerned with Jess at all at the moment. He's still just looking at the dragons and just still slowly kind of going towards them.
Jess finally walks up just pretty confidently and looks up at the dragons and says, listen, I know you two have been trusting your instincts and staying alive for a while, and judging from those scars, you've won more than a few fights. So, just listen. I made a promise to this really old lady named Gran, and she runs what was once the Dragon Sanctuary. And I guess it will officially be one again if you want to pop in. My promise was that if I ever found dragons again, I'd bring them to her so she could take care of them. Unless you have parents around that are already taking care of you? You see there's a moment of hesitation, and the boy finally speaks up and says, yeah, of course we do. You should go before our parents get back. Kind of looks between Jess and Xander.
Xander will finally, like, at the mention of the Dragon Sanctuary and everything like that, he'll finally show some attention to Jess. And can I roll like a history or something like that on this Dragon Sanctuary to know if it seems like if I know anything about it, if it seems pretty legit, etc.
I feel like that would honestly be more of an insight check because this is nothing you have ever heard about.
Gotcha. Okay. 16.
16. I mean, she seems to be pretty straightforward. No hesitation in her voice. It would be a really weird thing to make up. You're not sure she's quite lying, but it sounds far-fetched.
Gotcha.
Could be.
So Xander will finally kind of stop and turn his attention to Jess and just be like, he's kind of just ignoring what the dragons just said because he knows it's a lie. Like he knows they're lying about their parents coming or whatever. He kind of gives them almost like a pitied look before kind of turning his attention to Jess for a second. Is just like, so where is this dragon sanctuary? Like, how do y'all try and preserve them? How do you keep them safe from the things that would try and do harm to these creatures?
Jess kind of looks at you and raises an eyebrow and says, yeah, let me just go tell everyone where this secret dragon sanctuary is. No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not going to tell you exactly where it is. All you need to know is it exists. It is a safe place for dragons, and it has been since before the disappearance. I visited there often.
Xander will just kind of give her a look of almost like half belief, like he believes that the place exists, but like I don't know, like he feels like he would have at some point heard something about it, you know, but he'll kind of follow up the question with asking something the same thing again, but just in a different part of the same question again. Just be like, again, you don't have to tell me where it's at, but like, how do you preserve them? How do you keep them safe? Like, I just he just seems almost kind of struggling with his words, just how these things are, how humans and elves and stuff are able to keep dragons safe from others.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it's the fact that no, and Caelan's just gonna lean around and just be like, I'm pretty sure it's the fact that nobody knows it exists, and anonymity is a fantastic way to make sure things can't be found. So, I know you're not familiar with her, but you did see the dragon. I very much doubt she's going to go through all of this trouble to kill it.
Killing it's not necessarily my concern, but whatever. I just. It's not this. I get, it being secret, no one knowing about it, but what's keeping the dragons from growing up and hurting the people watching them? What's preventing the people who do know about this place from one day getting a rare bone and be like, hey, these things are worth a lot of money. Let's haul them up and take them somewhere. Like that's my concern. Not nobody knowing where the place is. I mean, I get that, no one knowing where it's at. But what if somebody stumbles upon it? Like those are my questions.
I'm pretty sure this is the definition of above our pay grade. And quite frankly, the only reason we even know anything about any of this is because we just so happen to be the ones who found some dragons today. So I'm pretty sure we can theoretically ask. Well, I mean, the only person who would theoretically be high enough would be the boss, but I don't think we should know.
Jess just kind of rolls her eyes. Listen, there's magical barriers and all kinds of other stuff that keeps it closed off from the rest of the world. People with ill intent cannot break those barriers unless, they got, I don't know, a whole bunch of really strong sorcerers together and all decided to try to break through it. But it's also disguised, so it is almost impossible to find it if you don't know where it already is. Just trust me. And Gran might be old, but she's not exactly a pushover, and Lenora is following in her footsteps. So that's two powerful casters that are protecting the sanctuary. It'll be fine.
Out of character, real quick. Just want to make sure that I am 100% like understanding what exactly happening here. Jess was sent by the guild.
Yep.
To check on these. At least that's the story she told us, or we know that for a fact.
No, we know that for a fact because Caelyn, once she confirmed the dragons and couldn't get them to come out, she immediately just called it into the guild, and Jess is who they sent.
Okay, got you. Cool. That's what I wanted to make sure of. Okay.
Oh no, she's absolutely being shady as fuck though. Like
Yeah.
your suspicions are totally well founded. She is not a trustworthy looking person.
Caelyn's coming at this from the direction of I used to be a bounty hunter, and if it ain't my business, it ain't my business.
Xander's coming at this from the angle of he really wanted to see dragons and he's getting to see them. So, but no, he'll kind of just turn back to the dragons, kind of just almost as if Jess wasn't there again, and just still in Draconic, just be like, truthfully, you two, do you feel up to going with my associate here, kind of motioning towards Jess, to this dragon sanctuary where you could possibly safely live?
They kind of look at each other, and Jess is just staring at Xander like, "Are you kidding me?" And before they can answer, she kind of takes another step forward to interject. Well, let me sweeten this deal a little bit for you. I will give you my solemn word that if you two do not like the sanctuary for any reason, I promise you I will take you back here, no questions asked, and I will make a initial investment into your hoard. And she kind of holds up the little bag and just kind of jingles it, and you all hear definitely lots of coins in there. And the two dragons just look entranced by this. Listen, I just want to get you healed up. We'll teleport you to the sanctuary. You'll get to meet Gran and Lenora, and Lenora is a fantastic cook, so you'll have plenty of delicious food. Got it? Healing, anything you need. And you'll get to keep my investment, whether or not you stay. And the two are kind of staring at her and then glancing at Xander. They
I think I'd like to make one last check real quick, and that's just going to be like a history check on possibly anybody who would go by the name of Gran or this Lenora she's talking about, or even I know Jess is new to me in person, but have I heard anything about her in the past? If that makes sense.
do it. Give me that history check.
And I will go ahead and use an inspiration on this to go ahead and roll it with advantage, if that's okay.
Yeah, you absolutely can.
Nat 20.
Nat 20. All right. Okay, your questions were Gran, Lenora, and Jess.
Yes.
If you heard anything. This is the first fucking time you have ever seen Jess. You've never seen her anywhere. Like, you don't hang around the guild all day, every day, but most of the people there, you've at least heard of them at some point in passing, not even once. Not even once. And now she's claiming to be teleported straight in. Like, she cracked a joke that, if you were pulling a prank on her, and got Golemov in on it, then kudos to you. Talking kind of familiarly about Golemov. As far as Lenora and Gran goes, a lot of people with a Gran, Grandma, Nana. There's just a lot, and it's really hard to distinguish all the little old ladies coming in with their "my cat's missing" quests and who's there visiting socially. It would be impossible to tell. And the name Lenora, it's not the world's rarest name. Like, it's not the first time you've heard of anyone being named Lenora, but you can't think of anyone named Lenora.
Gotcha. Okay. Xander is he realizes that he's got like essentially no leverage at all here. So like there's not really anything he can do to even intervene even if he wanted to. So like he'll kind of like sigh and we'll look back at the two dragons and we'll just be like, I will if you want to go with her and we feel like that's what's going to be the safest option for you, then that's probably going to be the case. I would very much like to know your names before you leave, he says to the dragons in Draconic.
They pause. Like, they were kind of whispering to each other, like trying to decide if they wanted to go or not. And then you brought up their names. And they kind of both look at each other, and it's like the realization hits them. And the boy says, I mean, we've never really needed names, so I guess we haven't really named ourselves yet.
Ah, I see. Well, just know that you could by all. Is it okay? Since I have done some like research on dragons and stuff in the past, is it okay if I give a little bit of dragon lore real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. He'll just be like, well, just generally most male green dragons names usually ended in eon, like an aeon, and females were eos. So just kind of remember that whenever you finally decide to name yourselves.
We will take that into consideration. And Jess just kind of looks at Xander and says, I'll take it from here. And activates her boots of striding and springing and jumps on up to not all the way to the very top, but to the second ledge, and kind of pours out some of the coins from the little bag and holds it up where the baby dragons can see it and says, all right, are we going to go? And you see them almost salivating over these coins. And the little girl says, I mean, it's worth a try if there's food and we get to keep anything that you give us, right? Jess says, absolutely. And kind of puts everything in one hand and then slowly reaches into her bag of holding and pulls out what looks like a gold dragon scale about the size of her palm. And it has a little gold chain attached to it, but you can faintly make out that it is covered in different arcane runes. And she says, this is going to teleport us, and it will teleport us back if I need to. So, you ready? And with that, there is a blue flash, and Jess and the little dragons, poof, they're gone.
I just want to say real quick that Xander was extremely deep examining all of this happen. Like he was like whenever she pulls out the with the arcane runes and stuff like that, he's trying to get his like he's trying to burn all of this into his memory as much as he can.
Okay.
And
Do me a favor. Make an intelligence check, and let's see how much he will remember in the future.
10.
10. Remember some of it. I'll give you that you are not a high-level wizard who would know all of the runes, but you definitely recognize the runes and the way they were shaped on the dragon scale. They were teleportation runes. So they did not just go up in lightning and just get zapped. They did get teleported.
That checks out. Got you.
Yeah. So they did not just poof out of existence completely. They were teleported. But it looked like it was all runes that you've probably seen at least once, so you don't think it was anything that would have been like a plane shift type thing. I'll give you that.
Sounds good. All right, I appreciate that. Xander will kind of just let out like a long, exasperated kind of sigh, just, and then we'll like lean down and grab his belt that he had unbuckled and let fall to the ground and start to buckle that back on and start walking towards the cave entrance. Seemingly almost like defeated, like he just seems downtrodden about what just happened.
Why was she so? Why was she so much nicer to you than she was to the two of us? The beach. Are you going to have sad face for the entire journey back?
Like almost as soon as you like say that, it's almost as he was like walking back. It was almost like he had just forgotten the three of y'all were there, and so like as soon as you like say that, he just like and just kind of like shakes his head, and then just he's got that smile he's had that y'all seen him have like the rest of the time, and he's just like, oh no, sorry about that. That was just a really weird situation. She was sketchy. Two of you knew her? Is that what I gathered?
No is a very, very strong phrase. She's a bitch. But also, that reminds me, since we have to go back to the farm, what are we telling the farm dude? Because we can't tell him it was dragons.
Can we? Is that out of character? Is that something we were told? We can't say that there were dragons or anything like that. I
Yes.
assume, like, okay. I mean, that makes sense.
We were 100. We were 100% told we're not allowed to talk about the dragons.
Were there? Actually, before they even get back to the entrance, Xander's actually going to be like, actually, hang on a second, and he is going to run back and actually leap up onto the like try and climb up to where the dragons were, and is going to look for loose scales, things like that may have fallen off.
You climb up there and you find a couple very, very small scales. They are off of baby dragons, so they are a dark green, almost black in color. Which is, baby green dragons are almost black until they get a little bit older, and then they shift into more of a green color. Also, you find 3 small scales. They're not in the best shape, but you found 3, and then you kind of see little tunnels in the wall where they have been kind of skittering away and hiding and trying to keep safe. But they're very much too small for an adult man to squeeze into.
Is that Xander is fighting against like trying to do it anyways, but decides not to and pockets 2 of the scales, the 2 nicest looking ones, I suppose. He'll pocket, and then he'll keep the 3rd one in his hand, and we'll jump back down, and we'll just be like, well, I suppose our best bet will just be to convince him that instead of it being dragons or anything like that, it was some other reptilian creature, maybe out of character. Are like worms and stuff still around? Like wyverns, are those still around? It's just dragons that are gone, or like what?
Yeah, it's just true dragons.
Gotcha.
So wyverns, drakes, stuff like that. That's all still around.
Yeah, so he'll just be like, yeah, so we can try and convince him it was something like that. We have the scale here to, prove that we dealt with it. I suppose that's going to be our best bet.
Caelyn just kind of gives him a side eye. Are you going to be like this every time we may theoretically run into dragons?
Be like what?
This energy, this manicness you have.
I don't feel like I'm acting any differently than the other 2 times we've hung out.
Why haven't you this?
But regardless, we need to check in with him, let him know the job's been done, and I guess head home.
Hooray!
Though while we're on our way back, I would very much like to know what your encounters with this Jess were in the past.
Not pleasant, and that is all I will say. Just suffice to say, she is not someone you should trifle with. She will 100% kill you and be completely unbothered by the experience or the fallout of it. So,
But you're alive.
because I did not fuck with her.
Gotcha.
Even I am smart enough to know when I shouldn't, and she will 100% try to kill me. So,
Xander will. Who was the other person that encountered her before? It was
Miz.
Caelyn and who?
Miz.
Miz. I guess he'll turn towards Miz and just be like, general same consensus.
Just out of character. I'm assuming I made it out of the cave. Am I still in the cave with them? Am I walking along with them? Because I thought I was out. I thought I was already out in the front with Zeroka.
Yeah, at this point, you would be out of the cave and kind of back in the woods, trekking back towards the farm.
Okay, so we're all walking together. Okay. I
Yeah,
thought we were all
I'm
separated.
assuming, unless everybody has a different idea.
That's fine. I just kind of assumed Xander would have like caught up and is asking him about.
Yeah,
about
I feel like
this.
Xander dashed back and then
Yeah.
dashed back to the group.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Miz just kind of turns over to Xander when he asks him, and he just says, I've met her once, but wasn't the best encounter. That's all I'll say."
I had $1 for a gold coin for every time I heard that's all I'll say in the past 20 seconds. Then I would have 2 coins, which I mean, that's not a lot, but that is crazy that that's happened that quickly.
Miz just kind of looks over and kind of scuffs at the remark and just continues walking.
Noted. And Xander will actually physically pull out like a piece of paper and will actually note it.
I love the himbo energy where he has to write it down. Okay. Anything else you discussed before getting back to the farm?
Yeah, I think Xander's going to kind of keep to himself for the rest of the trip. He's still got the kind of that kind of goofy smile he almost keeps the whole time, but just is just kind of keeping to himself.
All right, you make it back to Old McDaniel's farm. And he kind of steps out of the barn and gives you a little wave as you make it back onto the land. And he says, "Well, how'd it go?"
Xander will like immediately kind of step forward with that dragon skull he's got and just be like, "Oh, we took care of it. Unfortunately, it was not dragons as much as I would have loved for it to have been. It was just much more common wyverns, green tinted wyverns. We have the scale here from one of them that we managed to take down, but they shouldn't be bothering you anymore. And you're flock, your sheep and everything should be fine.
He kind of scratches his head a little bit and looks at the scale in your hand and says, "Wouldn't they have been flying more? And is that all you brought back? I kind of imagine if there were some wyverns and you killed them, then you would have got their, claws and stuff. Thought that was
Well,
what adventurers do."
Well, we did. So first off, to answer your first question, they had been injured in some kind of prior encounter, and that's the reason why they weren't flying anymore. They were trying to stay grounded to not hurt themselves further. And secondly, we have actually already had a team come from the guild and acquire everything. This was just, I assume, our proof of concept here. I think we took care of it.
Make a deception check. Let's let the dice tell the story to an extent.
15.
Deception. All right, let me roll an insight for Ol McDinnell here. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no. Did you roll high?
He got an 18. He looks at you. Looks at the scale. Narrows his eyes just a little bit. And it's hard to tell exactly what this old man is thinking, but he kind of glances around and after a moment finally just shrugs and says, "Well, look, I know what I saw. You go spin your tales elsewhere, and it is what it is, I suppose, as long as you're guaranteeing me they're not going to come back and hurt my livestock."
Yes, that is 100% guaranteed. There's nothing left other than what's naturally in these woods. Any wolves and bears and whatnot. That's you're just going to have to deal with on your own. But the creatures that were bothering you have been dealt with.
Well, that's what I got the dogs for. Well, all right. I'll sign off on whatever paperwork if the job's done. I would like to see more than just a couple scales, but whatever I need to sign, you just give me that. He kind of holds out his hand for your paperwork.
Xander 100% has that.
I was about to say, does Xander have it? I couldn't remember, but yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Xander will.
He immediately grabbed it when the
he was like,
grab
yoink.
I thought so. Just wanted to be sure. Yeah, Xander will pull that out from his chest and will reach it over.
You see him sign it with a big old arched M.
I'm loving it.
Yep.
Ah, for fuck's sake! I hate you. God damn it.
And with that, you're not sure he believes you. The way he's looking at you, he make an insight check. Anyone who wants to.
I was about to ask, can Caelyn make an inside check? Because did she clock it? Did she clock it?
Damn.
Natural 1 from Xander.
Oof, big oof.
Big oofs. Caelyn has a 19.
You said a 19 for Caelyn?
Mm-hmm.
What about Zeroka and Miz? Did you want to?
No, I'm not. Zeroka's not going to care what this guy's thinking.
Do it. Why not? It's an inside check, right?
Yeah, just an insight check, because as he's kind of like standing there, slowly passing back over the paperwork with an 8.
Yeah.
With an 8, job is done. Farmer has out loud said, okay, nothing is coming back. Job is done, and he is signed off. With a 19, Caelyn, the farmer has no other proof, but the farmer is kind of seeing through Xander a little bit. But the fact that you're lying about it, like that Xander is lying about it, this is just a simple farmer that doesn't want to poke his nose where it doesn't belong. You are 50-50 on if he's going to say anything. And 50-50 on if anyone will actually believe him. Maybe a little more sure that nobody will believe him, honestly.
And after the paperwork gets signed back, it's like, thank you. About to go southern. Damn it, woman. Caelen's just going to sigh heavily. Well, we thank you for your cooperation and for contacting the guild and assisting us in protecting the realm from various threats. Making sure that they don't get out of control and bother everybody else. Yes? Yes. All right. To the homestead.
All right.
And she just kind of gives him a look of just play along, dude.
The farmer just kind of shakes his head just a little bit, just like, man, this is not the outcome he really wanted, and kind of just waves as you all make your departure from the old McDiddle's farm.
I hate you. And as they're walking far enough away,
You do see his
Caelyn-
daughter steps out to give you a wave, and she has bright red hair and pigtails and very cute little blue gingham dress with like a little white apron on.
is her
Very
fucking name
cheery
Wendy?
smile.
I was about to say, her name's Wendy.
Yeah.
Why are you like this? Well, as they're walking away, Caelyn will just kind of look at Xander because I'm assuming we're grabbing our horses now. And
Yeah.
she just kind of goes, "Next time, less is more. Don't offer information if they don't ask for it first." He clocked that you were lying almost instantly.
I gave him the information he asked for.
You also gave proof. We could have just said it was wyverns. We took care of it. Can you sign off and go? But no, he clocked that you were lying. So just keep that in mind for next time. Yeah.
He's an old crazy farmer. We didn't even believe him that there were actually dragons out here in the first place.
Yeah. Remember what I was talking about with anonymity before, though? It's a lot easier to hide things if people don't think that they need to look for them. But okay, to the homestead.
I like how you've gone completely southern now.
Yeah, it's your fault. And it is 100% also one of the accents that I can fall into very, very easily, which is why I use it all the time. And Caelyn just, I need a drink.
Okay. All right. Anything you want to discuss on your trip home? Okay.
No, Caelyn just kind of.
I'm not going to force you to, but I want that opportunity to be there so I'm not just like skipping, hitting that fast travel button before you're ready, you know?
It's fine. Caelyn just will just glance at Zeroka and just kind of sticks her hand out over to him and just goes, "It didn't happen."
Good talk.
So Zeroka just like kind of looks and he's like,
I'm sorry. What did you just say to me?
I'm saying the indignity we both suffered did not happen. Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
and he kind of just points forward, not even acknowledging the situation that occurred in the cave.
Caelyn just watches him and just goes, all of a sudden, my memory just became very, very sharp. This is why you don't get invited for after party drinks.
He just he doesn't even pay attention. He's still on his horse, just looking forward.
We had the moment. We were getting along. Now he's back to being a dick. Back.
Speaking of being on your horses, as you are heading back, you end up making a bit of a detour due to a couple of farmers kind of herding their livestock along the main road that would have delayed you by much more than you were willing to wait. You find yourselves not too far from rejoining the main road again when an awful smell hits your noses. And as you round the bend on this path, you see the source. You see there is the carcass of a horse that is covered in sturges feeding off of it just off of the main road. Like, one of its hooves is on the actual road. You all know sturges are something like a cross between mosquitoes, but a little more impy, and they can definitely pose a threat with their numbers. They seem to be happily feeding right now on their dead horse, eating around the saddle, but if you stick on this road, you risk disturbing them as you pass, and you are a much fresher source of blood for them to suck. To your right, it's kind of a steeper ledge that would be a little bit tricky for the horses to get up and down, and same on your other side. What do you do?
Curse the god in our head.
Have we taken a short rest or anything?
We'll say you took a short rest at some point.
Woo. Yeah, buddy. I get so many things back on short rest. It's fantastic.
I kind of arbitrarily put your tokens on the map. You are pretty far back from them still, so you are 35 feet. They're only just barely becoming visible. I don't know what the marching order is, what you want it to be. You tell me and let me know what you're doing.
Zeroka's probably still going first.
So when you say right, do you mean like our right or your right?
Yeah, you're right,
Like
as
over
you would
here
be
or over
traveling
here?
south. Yeah, so
Okay.
let's say to the right would be to the west.
Okay. Hmm. Miz just kind of looks at the group, and just says, "I suggest we move to this side over here and avoid them if we can, and continue on our way."
Caelyn shrugs. I am not opposed to Mr. Stabby's suggestion.
Zeroka gives a following nod.
Okay.
All right. Miz looks at Xander and sees if he, approves or confirms his decision at all.
Here's what we're going to do. I
That's
would like
dangerous.
everyone to roll a d20, and that is going to be the dexterity check for your horse. As you are going up a little bit more treacherous terrain. Horses have a +0 to their dex, so this is just going to be a straight roll.
We
How many
also
stages are there?
Maybe a dozen or so. It wouldn't be impossible for you
We
to
could
take
just
them.
kill
It'd be
them.
annoying.
Caelyn is also going to keep a weather eye out because this seems like a fucking trap. Like just a dead horse on the road. It's like, no, this is probably a trap. But she rolled a 19.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I can't hear you.
Oh, Xander's mic went out.
Hello.
Now I hear you.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
no, I said like 3 times that works for me. Sorry.
Okay.
Nope, we couldn't hear you. Heavy static.
Going through a tunnel.
I guess as we're starting to slowly about to make this turn into a right, Miz kind of just looks over and sees Zeroka starting to look like he has some doubt on his face.
Yep.
And he kind of turns over to Zeroka and says, "What's wrong? Is there something going on?"
Zeroka then looks and he's like,
This all seems quite fishy to me. If anything, these little things wouldn't be a problem to deal with from what we contended with in the past. Perhaps we can just kill them.
Of course we can, and of course it's a trap. Says, "It's no wonder there's a rotting dead horse on the side of the road, right in the middle. Of course it's a trap, but I don't know if I want to spend my time fighting insects all day. From what I understand, these insects like to travel in packs, and I don't want to spend all day. However, if you're up for it, I'm okay with attacking them as well. But if not, we could just continue onward."
Then it's just kind of looking at everybody. Is like, yeah. So what we doing? We fighting them? We going around? What we doing?
I would like to make a perception check to see if this path or anything, if there's anything else. Like, I want to look at the terrain. If anybody is around besides these sturges.
Yeah, go ahead and make a perception check.
All right.
15. You can just barely make out so just past this tree that the horse is next to. It looks like there is a boot sticking out. Like this horse had a rider, and this boot is not moving.
All right.
And as far as terrain and everything,
Yeah.
you are in a little bit of like a dip area between a couple of small hills. The good and bad news of it is the terrain would be difficult to both climb up and down. So if someone were to trying to, ambush you from above, they would have just as hard of a time. So it's not really the best spot for an ambush.
Zeroka then looks over to Xander and he does the same as well to Caelyn, and he says,
Would you perhaps know the magic missile spell?
No, I'm not a wizard.
Real talk, out of character, I was like this close to actually taking it, but unfortunately, in character, that is not one I know. Unfortunately, I do have some other, cantrip bangy spells, but not that one.
and Zeroka then looks and he's like,
Mhm. By the way, if we gain their attention, it won't be pleasant from these forces. All right then, Miz, I'll take you on your first offer. Let us continue down this road.
Miz just kind of nods and continues forward.
all right. So you said a D20? Just normal D20, or is it animal handling? How do you want it? Dexterity.
If you were trying to take that rough terrain off to the side, that would be a dex check for your horses. If you were just continuing down the path and you're just gonna walk past these sturges, you don't have to roll for that. They're gonna see you.
Yep. So
It's a D20, right?
I'm gonna use my other inspiration on that one.
Was it?
That's another
Yeah.
one.
Damn.
Yikes! What is happening?
The dice
So-
god said no. They give it and they take it away.
Oh no. So we've got a 1, a 2, and an 8.
No, the one is now an 8. I did my inspiration.
Oh, okay.
I forgot. Inspiration is what? D8, right?
You can add a D10 or re-roll completely. 6.
What is happening?
You know what?
What in the world?
I'll just reroll completely. let's do a redo.
Am I the only one who got to double digits?
Use my inspiration reroll that completely.
yeah,
I'll take that.
10.
I'll take it. Whatever.
So we've got an 8, 6, 10, and then what did Caelyn get?
I'm gonna use
A
inspiration.
19.
19. Okay.
I'm gonna use inspiration. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
So we have technically, if we accumulated all of them, we have 4, right?
4 D20s, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Inspiration die. Okay.
Why is the music so intense? Gee.
I mean, it needs to be for this
Ones? What are you
situation.
talking about?
All right.
I only have 3 left. Okay.
Yep,
So we've
same
got
here.
2, 8, 6. No, wait, Xander. So we've got an 8, 6.
No, I didn't get it. I
Oh, you
re-rolled the
rerolled.
14.
So 14, 10, 8, and then what was Caelyn?
19.
Caelyn 19. Thank you. Okay. A little bit better. So, and you guys are you going to the side to avoid them?
Yeah.
Okay. You all start very carefully making your way downtown, walking fast. Faces are passing. Not really. There's
you
nobody
home?
else on this road.
But we are homebound.
You are homebound. You are indeed homebound, and you are doing your best to kind of make sure you're going slow enough that your horses aren't losing their footing. Nobody's been taking care of the trees over here because this is kind of a wilder area of this road. So the roots on some trees are kind of coming up, and it's definitely not the path that you are intended to take. As you kind of start skirting past them, you get most of the way past. You are now more southwest of them when, unfortunately, Xander's horse kind of slips a little bit. One of those rocks from under his hoof comes tumbling down the hill onto the road, exactly where you were trying to avoid it being. And this has caught the attention of a couple of the sturges. Not all of them, but a few of them. And you just hear bzz, 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 sturges. And about... Stop moving the horse. 4 sturges start coming your way with a quickness. Oh my gosh, they are very difficult to see on the map. As you hear this buzzing sound and see them start zipping towards you, what are you doing? It's just 4 of them.
So they've taken note of us, right?
Only a few. Only
I mean-
4.
I've immediately am going to get ready to cast Magic Missile and upcast it to those 4 to take them out.
Caelyn's gonna hold Eldritch Blast in case they all don't get got by Magic Missile.
Miz is just going to pull out his short bow and use a ready action. As soon as whoever survives left out there to attack, he'll attack.
And Xander will do a similar thing, but with one of his daggers, he will ready to throw at anything that survives.
Okay.
So each Magic Missile, I'm targeting each one
All
for
right.
2 points of damage.
They get up in your face. Ironically, they have 2 HP each. Exactly. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever watched like a moth fly headfirst into a bug zapper, but it's like a more dramatic version of that. Like, they are so thoroughly blown away by these magic missiles that the missiles themselves, there's like this sound as they're like getting fried by this magic, and they kind of fizzle out more than just being stopped because they're tiny, so there's not really enough there to stop the magic missile in its entirety. It kind of splashes around it, on all 4 of them. You do see this has caught the attention of a couple more sturges. Oh my gosh, stop moving the fucking horse. Hold on.
Nay.
Let me move the horse to the map layer. There we go. Jeez. So these 4 fucking disintegrated. But 2 more start flying at you here. Who wants to do anything? They just notice their comrades getting fucking blasted and there's some magic, so they're not flying as far. So anything you need to do needs to be kind of quiet if you're trying to continue on past. You've made it a little bit further. You're almost far enough that you're pretty sure you're in the clear, but not quite yet.
Caelyn is going to wait until like they're actually deeper in the forest, and is going to cast Eldritch Blast.
Okay.
So that
Roll
way, when they die, they're theoretically closer in.
Okay, roll
So-
to hit.
Hawaii. That's gonna be a very mighty. And I blame you so much for me stuck in Southern right now. That's gonna be a mighty 19.
That hits. I don't think you can not do enough damage to kill it. Well, I guess with cantrip.
No, we're going to eviscerate it, but it was just more of a she was trying to wait until it was closer in, so that way if it made any noise, it's less likely to grab the attention of any of the other ones. So that way, if this keeps happening, we can just sit here and pick them off one by one.
Okay. Yeah, you start blasting. Eviscerate that one. Just completely demolished. It is gone. It is its existence. It's like it was never there.
And it's gone.
One last one. Xander hasn't gotten to do much fighting. Why don't you give me a hit?
Yeah, I'll just You know what? Actually, I will cast a spell. Let's try this. Hang on.
A spell, you say?
25 with a ray of frost.
Yeah, that hits. Yeah, that ray of frost. Yeah, it is a frigid beam of blue-white light. So, unfortunately, quite a flashy spell. While yes, you completely destroy it. It is so frozen, it falls and shatters into 1,000 pieces. But why not let everyone have a chance to hit one? All right, one last Sturge, Miz.
All right, Miz pulls out his short bow and aims at the serpent. 14.
14 just hits.
Nice.
Yeah, this is a tiny target, but you still managed to hit it, and I feel like that would make you feel pretty good because you got this tiny little buzzing target, and it's like target practice, but on hard mode because this thing also wants to suck your blood. And it just gets thunked into a tree, and the sturges, this tree over here actually, and the sturges, that were starting to get full kind of are looking around, and the good part about using an arrow is that thunk is now over there, so their attention is diverted away from you. And with that great move, you are all able to finish skirting past the sturges unharmed. Congratulations. The answer to my puzzle was once again violence. You've solved the puzzle.
I mean, it could have not been violence. Look at us! Look at us being pacifists.
I mean, I was expecting y'all to just be like, "Fuck it, let's go destroy him." I only put 12 in there. Like, all of you were at pretty much full health. Like, I went and looked at your health. I was like, "They got it. I know they're gonna fight him. I know they're gonna fight him." And then you didn't. And I was like,
We're not complete and utter murder hobos, thank you.
I literally call you the Stab Brigade in my notes.
Mr. Stabby. Cool. Caelyn just kind of shakes off the remnants of the eldritch fire off of her hand. Well, that was fun. Good bit of moving target practice. Well done, everyone. We did it. Hooray.
Indeed. Let's hope there's no more issues and we can get back safely from this point on.
When your group gets back to the guild HQ, Henga is there at the front desk, like she always is, though it is, at this point in the day, closer to the end of her shift. She looks up from the records book she was writing in and gives you a little wave of acknowledgement and kind of, nods her head towards the stairs and says, "Hey, Golemov is upstairs in the conference room and told me to send you up. Last door on the right."
Oh.
Right before she's, we go up there, Zeroka then turns and says,
I heard that the man who died was your cousin. Is that correct?
You see, she doesn't make much of a reaction, like you would expect her to. And she's just kind of like staring you down, trying to figure out why you would say that, and says, "Maybe. What's it to ya?"
Do you not share any remorse for him?
I mean, yeah, he's my cousin. A little bit of a harsh way to just, bring that up, though.
Apologies. I thought that you would have known by now.
I mean, I already knew, but you should work on some sensitivity. There's some brochures. She like moves back and starts like shuffling through some stuff and then comes back over and sets a pamphlet on the corner of her desk near the stairs.
so
And
I was going to say, Zeroka was going to just bow and say my condolences, but
it is a pamphlet on acknowledging other people's feelings and how to sympathize and empathize and have better relations with coworkers and clients. This is
Kaylin
some
just starts
tendencies.
cackling properly.
Zeroka then shows because at first he was going to actually like bow and give her condolences for her cousin, but now he's just like, fuck off. He's not saying anything. He just continues to move forward.
Bye, Hanga. Thank you. You
Uh,
you have literally just made my day. Thank you.
She gives just a little bit of a smirk and gives you a little nod as you walk past. Like, she was mostly doing it like you were insensitive with saying it like that, so she was just slapping that down as like her version of a middle finger. She didn't expect you to take it. She just watches you all as you go upstairs. You go up the
Yes.
Yeah, Henga has been there, done that, seen everything, heard everything. It takes a lot to phase her, which is why she is kind of at the center of everything that goes on with the guild, because it is very hard to shake her. You all know what is upstairs are the main conference rooms and the offices for all of the guild council members. Unless you are going on more important missions that need to be discussed in private, are invited for, meeting with special guests or up to a council member's office, most people very rarely go upstairs. So some of you, this may or may not be your first time going upstairs. It's a nice hallway. There's some art and busts of the previous guild leaders. The council or the conference room door at the end on the right is the only one that is partially open. When you head inside, let me move the map to that. You see the large Loxodon figure of Golemov sitting at the table with some papers, and he looks up at you all when you come in. For those who don't know, any listeners, etc., Loxodon are essentially elephant people. Golemov is a male Loxodon, so he is somewhere around 7.5 feet tall. So this is a big chair that he is sitting in, and he is completely filling it out. Next to him, to his left, is Jess, who was already looking at the door before you walked in. She's got a glass of whiskey in hand, sitting with her chair kind of leaned back and her boots up on the conference table, though she does sigh and take her feet down when you enter. Golemov gives you a welcoming, warm smile and says, "Welcome. Please sit. Help yourself to some refreshments. I hope the ride back wasn't too bad." He motions to the table that has a few refreshments set out, though the decanter of whiskey is now directly in front of Jess.
Dare I? She will. Caelyn will not sit directly in front of Jess because she's not stupid, but will lean over and try to get the decanter of whiskey.
Yeah, you're able to stretch across. The lines on the map are approximations, not accurate. So you're able to kind of stretch across and grab it. Jess does not push it towards you to help in any way, but she doesn't pull it away from you. So you obtain whiskey, and just from smelling it, it is very nice whiskey.
And Caelyn, thank you, boss dude. I appreciate it. And we'll pour like a finger in, and then put it back in like the actual middle of the table, and then go and sit across from the crazy actual stabby lady.
This is gonna sit right next to her. No, a seat away from her, right here.
Wow, so the people she does not care for directly in front of and to her side.
Caelyn just looks at Miz and winks.
Yeah, Caelyn would definitely. I'm not going to make you roll perception. You see Jess's eye just twitch just a little bit.
Miz he's not smiling, doesn't really have a range of emotions on his face. He's just kind of like staring at the guild or at the boss. Not really knowing full well that Jess is not very happy with him being right next to her.
Yes. So, unlike Jess's slightly annoyed demeanor, Golemov, the head of the guild council, also probably you would all know this. He is one of the more powerful wizards in the realms. And because he is in charge of the guild that acts as an extra executive branch of the law in some cases, he is considered one of the most powerful people within the realms as far as his influence goes. He was a adventurer himself for, decades before he was voted into this role that he didn't quite want but stepped into with grace. And his full title is Golemov the Revered. He is known to be very even-tempered, thinks through everything, and doesn't seem like the kind of person that would be buddy-buddy with Jess, who just had her dirty boots up on the table, but he seems completely unbothered by her actions. And he gives you all that warm smile and says, "Well, I want to start by saying I appreciate your efforts in the matter that happened earlier today. I normally don't do this, but I would also like to ask that you keep the news of the dragons limited to the people that already know about them. We had assumed they were just more false rumors, otherwise we would have had you sign a confidentiality clause ahead of time." Jess kind of scoffs and says, "No, we wouldn't have sent them at all." And
Your trust in us is staggering.
yeah, you're kind of a bunch of rookies compared to a lot of the people here. Would have sent different teams.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, Golemov seems completely unfazed. Like he's used to this. Says, "I don't think I need to explain the chaos and socioeconomic issues that could arise from the dragons returning, especially chromatic dragons. But I can if you wish." Um,
Dragons? What dragons? I didn't see no dragons.
he does pull out of his pocket 4 small bags of coins and sets them on the table in front of you. And I will tell you, they all have 20 platinum in each of them.
Ha!
Oh, mama.
Nice.
Okay.
I
As I
would
said,
like to think I don't need you to sign anything, but I do like to compensate people for a job well done. If called upon to investigate similar circumstances, would you be willing to investigate? Obviously, you'd be compensated well for it. You are already in the know, and looking at the recommendations some of you come with, I feel confident in your abilities. It would keep the number of people involved in this as low as possible outside of the council.
Caelyn will just look Jess in the eye as much as possible and go, "Absolutely, I would be honored to help the guild in this matter." I'm just poking the bear right now.
You really are. Like, there's no need for this, but here we are. What could possibly go wrong?
Yes, everything. Let's do it.
This is the fuck around phase.
Well, Caelyn's gonna
Find
find out
out's coming.
eventually. Yep.
Eventually.
Xander will just kind of just nod and just be like, "We would." I don't know. I speak for myself, obviously. I don't speak for my friends here, but I would be honored to continue helping to investigate this matter.
All right, we have verbal confirmation from Xander and I believe Caelyn.
Mm-hmm.
Well, What are
like-
Miz and Zeroka saying?
She's genuine. She was absolutely just going to help because the guild asked her to. But if she can tweak Jess's notes just a little bit,
Miz kind of says thank you to the boss, and as he takes the platinum or his share of it, he kind of just looks over and gives like a dead stare at Jess, and then just goes back to just look at the boss.
She just meets your eyes and does not break her gaze, just like staring you down.
I'm assuming I feel this gaze, and I kind of just give a smirk.
But does Miz confirm that he would like to continue being on the team that hunts dragons in the future?
Yes.
Zeroka, yeah, he also takes the gold and then he kind of just like looks and he looks at the individual and he says,
I will gladly consider it. Thank you for this opportunity.
Jess kind of looks over at everyone as she has verbal confirmation from everyone and says, with now a little bit of a smirk, and she makes eye contact with Caelyn and says, "Wonderful. Well, you'll be reporting to me. You can call me Jess or boss."
no, boss is boss. I do believe you will be Jess. That way we can keep everything straight.
Right. Well, here's how it's going to go. None of you are going to say anything, or I will hear about it. I guarantee I will find out. Also, you would probably be killed or worse for it. Any information about dragons, parts of dragons, anything like that, the black market is scrambling for that because it's been 250 years since there's been any kind of fresh source of dragon anything. So just know you're putting your own necks on the line as well as, that of baby dragons. We don't really want them to be hurt. I do kind of want to see if there's a nature versus nurture thing here with them, so we're going to see how they turn out. But it's better if people aren't trying to scour every inch of the realms looking for them. We also have to acknowledge that if those came back, they might not be the only ones. So we'll see what the future holds for us.
As Jess says that we might end up, I guess, being hunted down or taken care of if we say anything. Zeroka just starts kind of like giggling while his arms
Zeroka?
are folded. Zeroka, I'm
Zeroka.
sorry. I'm sorry.
I was about to be very confused too.
All right, no. I don't know why I said Zeroka. Miz, he starts with his arms like kind of folded. Just like a small little chuckle as she says that we'll be taken care of if we say anything. Doesn't really look at Jez, doesn't really say anything, just kind of chuckles as she's saying this.
Golemov kind of gives a nod a little bit and is agreeing with Jess and says, "Well, you will be the first people we call upon to investigate any additional rumors that seem to have truth behind them. You can be assured the two dragons are being safely tended to, and they are not being held against their will. Now, if in the future you need anything additional for hunting down and rescuing any dragons, just submit a request and I will see what I can do to assist you. I do have a few things now, though." And he reaches into his pocket and pulls out adventurer's compasses for you, and I will find the items for you. Basically gives you flashlights and advantage on directional checks. But now, since Miz does not have dark vision, you've got a cute little compass that can cast the light spell on itself and illuminate it, and you don't have to worry about anything getting burned by a lantern or torch.
Nice.
And you can control how far away in it is from you.
Nice.
Hooray! Speaking of in the future with the various missions we may theoretically be tasked for, if we need to call stuff in, do we call it into Hanga or do we contact you directly in the case of the missions where that is specifically what we are going to be doing? And it's like, as cheeky as Caelyn has been the whole time, she looks at Jess and is saying it very actually seriously. Just like, no, this is not work. I'm not like bullshitting you. This is legitimately not just work.
Golemov looks at Jess, and Jess is looking at Caelyn like, fuck. Kind of digs in her bag of holding for a moment and pulls out a sending stone, and you just see the pain of having to hand this over. And then she sets it on the table and slides it so it stops in front of Zeroka. Yeah. Only use that for official reasons. I'm going to let you hold on to it because I'm pretty sure you are the least likely to call me.
Zeroka gives a head nod and grabs it.
Mark that you have Jess's sending stone on that.
All right.
You hear Caelyn literally suck in a breath and just bite her lip and just,
Is this Caelyn figuring out how to steal it?
No, this is Caelyn going, I want to say something right now, but I really shouldn't. She's capable of self-control. She just doesn't exercise it.
So the other one who has it is Xander, right? You said.
No. So I think Xander has the sending stone to Henga. Zeroka has the sending stone that goes directly to Jess. So
Gotcha.
you now
Got
have
it.
2 sending stones.
All right.
And I know it's like in the description in D&D Beyond, it's like up to 25 words, blah blah blah. But in my world, I hope you're ready for it. They work like Rocky Talkies. Did you think I could go a whole session?
I was hoping.
Yeah. So it's unlimited back and forth. It's basically like long range walkie talkies. The only thing that interferes with them really is, I don't know, if you are in the Underdark or anti-magic. Guild has some good artificers doing their stuff. But yeah, you have Jess and Golemov still sitting here. Was there anything else you wanted to do or say?
Xander will kind of just. He's been kind of like alternating between looking at Jess and Garlemald, but will finally just kind of turn his attention to the boss himself, and will just be like, so if you don't mind me asking, since we're going to be, this group going after these guys and everything, what is your overall plan with these dragons? What are you planning on? Like, I know you're wanting to keep them safe or whatever, but like, what's the goal?
The goal. And he kind of raises his eyebrows, sits back a little bit, and seems to be lost in thought for a moment, kind of folds his hands over his stomach as he's pondering this, and says, well, safety would be my number one goal. There is a grave matter of safety for both the dragons and any people involved and in that area. As you see, there's already been a conflict of interest with the farmers, and I hope to avoid that sort of thing in the future. As far as long term, the dragons themselves will have to decide that. I'm sure they are welcome to stay at the sanctuary for as long as they would like. I'm not sure. This was not really anything we considered to be a possibility before a few hours ago.
Xander kind of just nods and is kind of like taking that in. He's like, so if you find more and we decide to, keep them safe and keep them protected for years, and they grow into adult, full-blooded, not full-blooded, but full-grown dragons. And they decide they want to be the head honchos of the world again. Like, are you going to stop them? What do you mean? Like, I know you said you don't know, but like, what's your idea? What's your current thoughts?
I'm not sure that the world would be willing to go back to being ruled by dragons. It is a possibility. There are people that would like to go back to that sort of situation, but I think the populace as a whole has benefited from straying from that model of government. Jess kind of rolling her eyes and says, yeah, no, let's not go back to that because things are definitely much better now than they were then, especially with chromatic dragons in charge. I'm not willing to do that again.
See, I'm not necessarily arguing with you that it's not better or worse one way or the other. I'm just asking, like, if you do protect them and let them get fully grown, and that's what they decide they want, what are you going to do?
Well, negotiation would be the first step, but that is still quite a ways off, I believe. We will cross that bridge when we get to it. We will see what the future holds, and hopefully that is not what they want, and we can all learn to coexist peacefully. You see Jess just kind of rolling her eyes like, yeah, okay.
Caelyn is 100% going to insight check Xander because it's just like, why do you need to know?
Okay. Insight check. Go ahead.
That is going to be dirty 20. What are your intentions?
You're asking Xander that?
Well, no, that is what the insight check is. She's because it's just like she is. Well, from a player standpoint, she's one of those. No, it's we get told what to do. It is none of my business. And he's asking questions that are just like, why do you need to know that? So she's like, wait, why do you need to know that? Like, what are you planning on doing with this information?
I will say, without directly asking him any questions yourself, I will say with just with a dirty 20 with what he's asking and what he said, he does seem overly invested for sure. I mean, but I feel like you've already picked up on that. But I mean, without asking him any questions yourself or anything like that, you can't necessarily glean his intentions. He just seems overly invested in what the fate of these dragons will be. Abby, if there's anything else you want to add, you can, but that's just, I feel like, that's where we're at with that.
I feel like you're a pretty good gauge of what a dirty 20 gets you. But I mean, Caelyn's not asking anything out loud, so that's pretty much what you get from just looking at him, and not directly asking him anything.
Cool. Caelyn's gonna be bold. Query. Why is all of that important? We're years off from having to worry about that. Our job is to theoretically find them, call in Jess, and send them on their way. Why does any of the rest of that matter?
What race is Caelyn, real quick?
She is effectively she's an elf.
She's an elf. Okay.
There's extra bits added in there, but she's an elf.
That's fine. Yeah, you don't have to. I just needed to know if you were long lived. Xander will just kind of be like, why is it not important? If we're, especially with elves and stuff like that, like, it seems pretty important that we know if we're possibly raising our future dictators.
Is it not better to raise them ourselves than let them run about in their wild?
Sure, and I agree, but that's just why I'm curious. I want to know if how we're raising them, what our plans are if they do decide to try and do anything. Like, I don't know if I'm just a firm believer that if someone's going to, pull the arrow into the pull the bow back and have an arrow pointed. I want to know who's holding it. You know what I mean? Like, I just want
Not
to
really,
know.
no.
Well,
I am not nosy. Part of the job description. You don't ask. It's none of your business.
Only reason I'm still alive to this day is knowing more than I'm told.
All right, so Zeroka then looks at Xander and he raises an eyebrow and he says,
I find it very hard to believe that you're still alive because you knew too much.
Perhaps I didn't phrase that properly. It's not necessarily that I am alive because I knew too much. I'm alive because I knew just the right amount.
Perhaps just the right amount is what we need to know for this situation.
Of course, and I am done with my questions at this point. Was just simply curious about what the future held for these guys at the current moment. I just wanted to know if I should be embracing our dragon overlords today, or if I should, wait to put on my dragon hat in a week or so.
Zeroka looks and he says,
After this, Xander, I have something to ask of you and tell you. But I digress.
And he looks over and at the boss man and he says,
Apologies.
No, it is quite all right. There are many questions that will be coming up, especially as, unfortunately, I do not know if this secret will stay a secret forever. Like Jess said, if these two have come back, it is quite possible that other dragons have also reappeared and we just have not found them yet. People are going to find out one way or another, whether that be through the guild or through the dragons making their presence public, but I believe there is still time to plan for that, and we will keep you up to date as we come up with that. But for now, it is all in progress and on a need-to-know basis. We will not withhold any information from you that you will need on future missions, if that means it would put you in any kind of danger.
Well, I do believe that was going to be good enough for us, question mark? I certainly don't have anything else. She's just actually going to look at Jess and smile and just, I look forward to working with you in the future.
You get one of those, like, fake half smiles, like, kind of things back from Jess.
And Xander will just be like, and I actually somewhat mean it. I actually do look forward to working with you in the future.
She does give Xander a regular nod of acknowledgement without any kind of sneer.
I feel so special today.
You get all the ire, just for you and Miz. And Golemov says, well, unless you have anything else you would like to address, I don't want to keep you all too long, since I am sure you are tired from your travels. But please let me know if I can assist, and know that we will probably be calling upon you sooner or later. And he stands up. Well, does anyone have anything they want to say first?
Nope.
Nope. Xander will just begin standing up whenever he stands up.
Zeroka stands up and gives Xander a nod as to discuss something outside of the guild.
Yep. Golemov stands up to his full towering 7.5 feet height, and does give you all a handshake and a smile. Looks you all in the eye before you leave on your way out. Jess does not get up. All right.
Well, Caelyn's like, neat. Well, I'm going to go have a drink. Some of you are welcome to join me if you can stand it.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Some of you are welcome. Who's welcome and who's not welcome?
Who do you think? And hence why she adds, if you can stand it.
Legitimately don't know.
Caelyn's going to grab her sack, and vacate the room. Abby, I'm going to send you a secret thingy of what Caelyn is also doing.
Yes, please.
So at this point, Zeroka then looks at Miz and he says, Miz, would you hold on to this for a moment? And he hands him the sending stone that was given to Jess. I mean, from Jess. Just for a moment.
Miz kind of looks at it and is like, why?
Are y'all still in the room with her?
I assumed we weren't.
No,
I see why not.
I moved you all down to the lobby area, which is pretty empty. It's just the four of you at this moment and Hanga.
And he's so once again he does look and he says to Miz as well,
I'll let you know once I get done talking to Xander.
Miz looks at it and then and just nods and takes the sending stone.
Zeroka then gives Miz a nod, and Zeroka looks at Xander.
Xander, a word, if you will.
Of course. And he nods and walks with him.
Are we outside? I'm assuming. Was there? How many people are running the crowd? Okay.
Yeah, you can step outside. Man, I do have a map for outside. It's so I would say it's late afternoon at this point.
Okay.
There's people wandering, but there's kind of like some steps leading up to the guild, so like you can
All right.
stand kind of up on the porch-ish area, and if you talk quietly above the din and the sounds of the city, nobody's really going to hear your conversation.
Gotcha. So Zeroka then looks and he says to Xander,
Your inquiry is definitely was something on my mind as well. I will ask Xander. This guild seems to have been keeping stuff from us. Would you agree?
Xander will just kind of like, not necessarily like agree, but we'll kind of do like I mean, I agree, but sometimes organizations like this have to. But the dragon thing is definitely a curious bit of business.
and Zeroka looks at him and he says it kind of leans up and he takes his hands from his back and he puts them to the side and says,
Would you also agree that them keeping these dragons away could cause a detriment for the future?
I feel like it's kind of currently a falling coin that could fall either one way or the other. I feel like it is quite possible that they could possibly, raise these dragons and like they said, nature over nurture type thing, nurture over nature. Maybe they will be happy to be part of society going forward, but I just have this feeling in my gut that may not be the case. And why, so I'm kind of in this part of like, why even bother trying to rehabilitate them or heal them up and keep them safe if they're just going to turn on us when we do. You know what I mean?
So Zeroka looks and he kind of looks at Xander and he looks towards the you said it's the afternoon, like the sun is setting, right?
Yeah, it would
he,
be like red in the sky at this point.
So he looks and he says to Xander,
If the time comes and we do need to battle them, will you be ready to make the decision to do so? To kill a beast that hasn't been seen in over 300 years or 250?
Xander will just kind of smirk almost like kind of like this, like it almost, he doesn't say this, but he's almost like it's cute that you think I wouldn't be like type of way, almost like he's just like, look, I have obviously have a fascination with them. I've been studying them for years. I think they are majestic beings by all means. I think part of me honestly thinks that they deserved the position they had back in the day. But at the same time, I don't necessarily bow to anybody. So I would rather not. Live in a world where we have dragon overseers.
Good. I just only ask one thing. when the time does probably come to fight these dragons, and if our so-called guild leaders are the ones who control them, we may have to go up against the guild.
Xander, at your wording of that particular question, Xander will kind of retreat kind of back into himself slightly, and I want to roll insight on you.
Sure, I can actually tell you all the intentions.
He literally is asking if you are willing to literally fight these dragons if the guild members are trying to control them, because we don't know their intentions.
Yeah, I will straight up tell you exactly what Xander, like what's going through Xander's mind right now is like, okay, this could be a new party member of mine that is genuinely curious about what you're actually asking, but he's also like, or he could be like a plant from the guild trying to like get me to like admit that I'm willing to fight the guild.
Yeah, Zeroka
and he's gonna
definitely seems serious. Like he seems like he's like truthfully like asking if you're willing to like, because we don't know their intentions. So he's literally like trying his hardest to convince you that it may come to this in the future.
After realizing that that's the case, Xander will just kind of exhale slightly and will just be like, yes, I have never been, again, I don't necessarily enjoy bowing down to anybody. I don't like necessarily having anybody telling me what I can and can't do. I don't owe any loyalty to this guild other than the fact that they pay me for my services. He's like, I if they decide to try and take over with these dragons or whatever, I'll do what I have to do.
Zeroka then looks and he looks like he's about to put his hand on Xander's shoulder for a second. Do you let him? Do you let him?
Oh shit! I just realized I forgot I was on talk to text. Sorry. I said Xander. He doesn't necessarily recall at it, but he just kind of has this like look at what are you doing? But doesn't.
So it's a very like shoulder nut. So basically, Zeroka puts his hand on his shoulder and he gives a smirk to Xander and he says,
"Good. Your exceptional skill with the blade. I need good allies by my side. Xander, I hope that, and I don't want to say this in front of Caelyn and Miz, you are exceptional allies. And I hope that when the time does come to probably fight these dragons, I'll have you all by my side when the time is necessary. Strength in numbers."
Of course. Now I just have one simple question for you, and this is just a yes or no. But other than what you've asked me already, and what you have explained already, is there any ulterior motives you have to this conversation otherwise?
Zeroka then gives like a once again another smirk and he says,
"I only need the allies necessary for us to control the chaos that runs in this world."
Xander just kind of offers him like a smirk and just like, fair enough, and we'll just kind of. This time he will like put out a hand to like offer to shake Zeroka's
and Zeroka immediately shakes his hand, knowing that he has a strong ally by his side.
Hell yeah!
Is it that at this point that Caelyn actually comes outside and it's like, what in the okay?
So Zeroka then goes back in and he looks at Miz and he looks and he also says,
"Miz, a word?"
And Miz just nods and then said, "Well, I guess Miz kind of points to the out, like kind of on the side or outside. He nods and he asks Zeroka to follow him."
"Oh, 1 second though. Please give that sending stone to Xander."
Mm-hmm.
"Thank you."
and I'm assuming we walk outside and he doesn't really say much. Like what he means is like he knows Miz is not much of a talker, but he says,
"Miz, do you trust this guild?"
Not really.
"My sentiments as well. I don't know what they're planning on doing with these dragons, but when the time does come, we may need to fight these things. Are you willing to do so?"
Depends. I don't really care for the dragons.
You'll probably care if your slums are destroyed.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really care about the slums either. I can always find new slums.
Not with any dragons lingering around causing chaos and destruction.
And then Miz just starts kind of looking and says, I mean, it depends. What would I get out of it? Sure, the slums might be gone. Who knows? Maybe dragons would be better watching this world instead of humans. I'm not sure.
Do you really believe that?
Zeroka actually points an angry look a little bit.
I don't really care. I don't know. I don't care.
Do you care for your life?
And then Miz just starts thinking, oh, if I achieve something before all that happens, no, not really.
You're quite an interesting one, miss. However, when the time does come, I know just as well as you do that you're trying to defend yourself if we have to fight those things. I want you to acknowledge that I, just as well as you, will have your back in case we do have to fight them.
Miz just kind of gives a little smirk and looks at Zeroka, and he says, that might be true, but I also know that not everyone's trustworthy. Not in this guild, not in this party.
Good. Keep those sentiments. It'll do you well in the future.
So Miz looks at Zeroka and just basically says, well, if the time comes, you'll know if I'm on your side or not.
I would hope so.
And he gives him a smirk.
Miz just gives a nod.
So Zeroka walks back in, and reluctantly he looks over to Caelyn, and he says,
Caelyn, sorry, I know you favor a drink now and then, but I would also like to have a word with you.
Kind of raises her eyebrow at him and just, oh, do I get to go on my life-altering journey with Zeroka today? Hooray! And just follows him.
So as he's outside, he says,
Caelyn, I've spoken to Miz and Xander. I will ask, how do you feel about them keeping these dragons from us? I understand it is not our business, but if they do plan on doing something destructive with them, how would you feel?
I feel that it is not a problem until it becomes a problem. I trust them enough to not try to kill me on purpose. Correction, I trust the guild to not try to kill me on purpose. Not Jess. She would 100% do it just because it was funny. But
Zeroka then looks and he says,
That's good to know. I just need to know if I have certain allies on my side just in case we need to fight these dragons in the future. Will you be willing to put up your blade to do so?
if they're trying to kill me, sure.
Good. You are exceptional with the blade, I will admit that, and your magic is very useful.
She's looking at him super suspicious. You're being nice and you're complimenting me. What do you want?
I need allies.
And it's like you see her face like just drop that like stupid grin that she's like constantly having because she's just cheeky, and it's just like, oh yeah, I can understand why you were an actual bounty hunter, because like her face is just like that kind of dead. I will fucking murder you. What? Like, and she's like super like, you're being nice and you have not been nice the entire time I have known you. The fuck?
and he perks up and he gives a sigh and he says,
I need trustworthy allies to have mine back just in case things get hectic with these dragons. I'm not sure I trust your friend who you were staring at as long the same as with Miz. I don't know her intentions. And I have not fought with her, but I have fought with you. And I feel as though you are trustworthy.
You are not incorrect. No, she is a bitch of the highest order. And if I am reading between the lines of what you have spoken, she would be the one of the ones to worry about because she would not. But if it comes to it, yes.
Good. And Zeroka then puts out a hand and he says,
I have your back as you have mine. Fair enough.
That is very literally all I have wanted all day. She reaches out the hand and she shakes it.
and he smiles and he says,
Another thing, Caelyn. Would you have happened to know a man of your elven race and a woman named Sindel, and the woman name was Etria?
History check? Would I?
and Zeroka looks and she probably does it. I mean, Zeroka's just asking. And he says,
They were moon elves, share the same skin complexion.
Give me a
Just
history
wondering.
check.
All right. That, I am dumb, was a 12, not a 20. I don't know how to count anymore. There we
Those sure are moon elf names.
go. No. That's going to be 16.
Those sure are moon elf names.
It's like,
There would be the chances that you would have met them would be like 0.01%.
cool. Making sure, because I was like, fuck, wait a minute. Is that somebody in my background that I theoretically wouldn't know?
At
she just-
most, you may have briefly passed in. I really don't think.
Yeah, they were. I don't think she did. Zeroka's just asking because he would generally ask.
Not to my knowledge.
I see. Well then. Thank you.
And when he says that, you see Zeroka sort of looks like he grabs like a little tiny thing in his pocket, and it looks like a music box. And he looks at it for a second, and he puts it back into his pocket.
And Kayla just kind of looks at him and is like, number one, how much did it hurt you to just say that? Number two, be very happy I am not a innately nosy being. And she just kind of pats him on the shoulder and walks over to, I guess, where everybody else is waiting. It's like, motherfucker, I saw you, but hashtag none of my business.
Zeroka then looks and he doesn't actually go back inside. He just continues to keep on looking at the sunset. And then after like a good 5 minutes, he goes back inside and he asks Xander back for the sending stone.
Xander will just be like, "Oh yeah, here," and just chuck it over to you.
And he catches it and gives a fellow nod.
Hooray!
We're all getting to be friends. I couldn't say that with a straight face. No, but yeah, I like that.
That's not shady at all, God. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Zeroka's out here doing the shadiest shit, and you're like heaping the hate on Jess. Like, damn.
I mean, the thing is, Jess is a bitch, so
I mean, she really hasn't done anything to you.
she doesn't have to do anything to me. She is just a bitch the moment I walk in the room and I want to poke it and see what happens. Well, no, if it's honestly if she wasn't so much of a visibly disgusted with Miz and Caelyn's very existence, Caelyn would have just probably flirted with her and then moved on when she said no. But the fact that she's maintaining this level of animosity without them having actively done anything besides have the audacity of been part of the Bounty Hunters Guild, it's like, oh, go fuck yourself. Get off your goddamn high horse. Jesus.
I feel like I might have described it wrong then, because it's not animosity. It's more just like a little bit of irritation, like, oh boy, these guys again. Okay, let's go. You are the scum of the earth. It's like, I wish you weren't in this room, but here we are. It is what it is.
Yeah, no, it's like the way you described it sounded a lot more active on her part, in terms of just, you people. And it's like, rude. Can I at least prove my incompetence before you just assume it? Jesus. But Also, she's just shady as shit and rude as hell.
Oh, absolutely
Yes,
shady.
God. Like, super shady. It's just that, again, Caelyn is just not nosy enough to ask because that's how you get in trouble.
100%. Caelyn knows better than to fuck around and find out with certain things.
Mm-hmm. She has enough friends who are both curious enough to fuck around and then also found out. And it's just like, you know what? Let's not though. So anything else, God?
Anything else from you all? I'm assuming you all went to go get drinks.
Well, Caelyn went to go get drinks.
Um,
I'm gonna go and look at the bounty hunter board for any bounties.
I follow suit with Miz as well and look at it as well.
so the party
Caelyn?
kind of splits up. What is Xander doing?
Caelyn's not allowed to.
If not everyone's going to the same place, then Xander will just be like, whatever. See y'all when we get summoned again, and we'll just kind of wander off.
Okay. I do believe Ms. had questions. Was that something you wanted to tackle this session? Like, would Ms. have hung back, or did you want to do that another time?
Do that another time because yeah, I mean, Miz kind of like tired. He's kind of like over this. Kind of wants to head back to the slums.
There's
Yeah,
too much
but
people
yeah,
interaction for one day.
yeah. Those questions he'll ask next time.
That is super fair. And this might be just a good spot to kind of end things, unless there was anything specific anyone wanted to do or say at this moment, kind of establish. Because if not, then we would just launch into the beginning of the second mission, which would be a couple days from now, in game.
I
Caelyn
think I'm
has
good.
nothing.
We can retcon if there's something you wanted to do in your day off. You would have at least one day off, where you can go shop with your platinum at the Quest Buy.
Yes, Caelyn is 100% buying something out of the quest buy.
I realized I did not post anything last week in Quest Buy. That is my bad. So I will go ahead and let me pop in one more batch of Quest Buy items. You all have the advantage. Well, I have the advantage of the groups that I've run this campaign with in the past. I did not delete the Discord, so I can copy and paste. I don't hate myself enough. But yes.
Oh, this Adder Stone looks great to use on Zeroka. Shady as his shit is.
Absolutely. There's some fun stuff in there. I love me some homebrew. Eventually, you will all be a high enough level to handle the clearance bin items. But some of them have issues, which is why they're on clearance. They come with a warning label, but it's better to have you wait until you're a higher level just in case something backfires.
That is a very powerful stone to be 30
The lodestone?
Yeah. No, the Adder Stone.
Oh. Yeah, no, I was just like, again, use it on Zeroka because it's like, no. Actually, number one, I do want the lodestone.
Okay.
Go ahead and put that in notes.
Yeah, so the reason everything is so cheap is because this is a fantasy game, and I don't want people to feel broke in a fantasy game, because most enchanted items, I think in a lot of, like, rules as written stuff, they start at, like, 2,000 gold, and, like...
Yeah, they're kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm just like, these have some silly little things, some silly little magic. And the vast majority of what goes into Quest Buy will not be super useful in battle, so it's not like I'm giving you a crazy edge or anything. But
Now, I have the most important question.
Yeah.
What about that level, though?
What about that level, though?
What about that level?
What about that level, though?
Because it's all about that level. About that level. No telling. It's all about.
You know what the great thing is about this campaign?
Mm,
You leveled up.
Nice.
we
do
leveled
level.
up, y'all.
You do
Let's
level.
do the money.
You're getting the answer you wanted. Congratulations. Happy New Year. Level up to 4. Do the thing with the stuff. Level on up. And yeah, did anyone want anything else? And you'll have time to do the quest buy
Holy
stuff,
shit! A bag of pretzels. I fucking love some pretzels. Let's
but a bag
go.
of dry pretzels.
They're still pretzels at the end of the day.
Cotton mouth for up to an hour later. You
Yeah,
don't.
you get fine
You
mouth.
underestimate my power.
I mean, they sounds like pretzels to me.
So that one is one of my friends came up with that, and she doesn't even play D&D. She was just so excited that I was excited and was like, I think this would be a cute item. And I'm like, you are right, and I love you. So I popped that in on my friend's behalf. Thank you, Stephanie.
Oh,
We're
damn.
allowed to use feats, right?
Yep. Just tell me if you do, because I don't always check that, and then I get caught off guard.
I'm taking a feat.
Okay.
Yeah, no. It's gonna be one of the ones that lets me do range things in melee, so that way I don't have to worry about it.
Crossbow expert.
Yeah.
Do range
Crossbow-
things in melee. What the fuck?
Yeah. So basically, she's not hindered by the 5 feet.
Crossbow expert, gunner,
Okay.
and so a lot of those. Because what they'll do is they have one specific thing they do, and then there's a secondary part that's more global, and there's a bunch of feats for doing ranged attacks in melee without the penalty.
One of
So,
my favorite.
Crossbow expert, gunner.
One of my
Yeah, I was gonna
favorite
say-
characters
Okay.
I ever played. One of my favorite characters I ever played had crossbow expert, and he dual wielded hand crossbows because he didn't have to reload them because of crossbow expert, and he essentially fought like what's the dude Reaper from Overwatch.
Oh my gosh.
He just dual wielded hand crossbows and could fight at melee range, far range, whatever. That's just how he fought.
Amazing.
Medieval Rambo.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let me read the lodestone since that is one of the confirmed items. The lodestone, the small gray stone, fits in the palm of a hand and has 5 charges. While holding the lodestone, you may use an action to expend 1 charge to cast Detect Magic or 2 charges to cast Locate Object without requiring material components. The item regains 1d4 expended charges daily at dawn. If you expend the last charge, roll a d20 on a roll of 1. The lodestone ceases to function, becoming a hunk of useless rock. The lodestone is purple in color with flecks of teal, gold, and green running through it. Whenever you cast Locate Object, it gives off a faint pinging noise that gets louder as you get closer to your target. That was 40 gold. Anyone else actually buying anything?
I'm gonna get the Ring of Goats because I want to eat bark off a tree and survive.
Okay. Where the Ring of Goat. While wearing this carved horn ring, you can consume virtually any organic matter such as grass, leaves, twigs, linen, leather, etc., and find it as tasty and sustaining as normal food. Fun
We get
fact,
lost in
goats
the
do not
forest.
actually Fun fact, goats do not actually eat everything. Sheep eat a wider variety than goats do. You will never need that information, but you have it now.
Nice.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Let's see. I actually don't know. I think I'm not gonna buy. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna buy
That's
anything.
fine. And you can do that at the beginning of next session if you want. But with that, we will go ahead and end the recording. Thank you all for listening to all of that. I don't know if Gary wants to cut all of that. But Gary has been nice enough
Probably.
to add outros, so I don't have to. Thank you, Gary. All right, everyone say
Love you, Gary.
goodnight.
Nice.
Adios.
Good night.
Hello? Can anyone hear me? Alright, I don't think anyone can hear me. I tried ordering pizza for the session using that whole pizza portal app, and I guess I'm on the pizza plane now. This is just life. Anyway, if you liked what you listened to, send us an email at critsandgrits@gmail.com, critsandgrits@gmail.com, or check out some of the people that have supported us so far. like our buddy Tithus, you can follow on twitch.tv/Tithus. Becky, you can follow on twitch.tv/sugarpuns. Jess, you can follow on twitch.tv/JessPanda. Also, the MomoCon socials, Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, Instagram. Kyler, you can follow on YouTube at Fishing After 5. Jay, you can follow on twitch.tv/Rush918. And Duck, you can follow on twitch.tv/DuckyPlease. If anyone could, find a way to summon me from the pizza plane, that'd be real chill, y'all. I gotta file my taxes.